Your life, your freedom is this moment. So connect your life to the now, because here we all are master disciples.
On the surface, for first impression, 5RHYTMS is a very simple practice. There is some music, we move, and then we stop, and then it's over. The processes which happens behind it can be very complex. And whoever would like to teach, or sometimes we say that we don't even teach the 5RHYTMS, we are just creating the space where people can practice for themselves. So whichever way I choose, teaching or holding the space, it needs a lot of experience, training, knowledge. It's hard to say what exactly, but it takes usually a lot of time to get to a point where you can reliably hold the space for others. You need to go through most of the situations what others are going to encounter and they are going to dance. And there are so many different people, they will have so many different experiences, so it takes a lot of time to at least taste a little bit all those different experiences in your own skin. It took me 3 years to do so many workshops and classes and go to different teachers and actually doing the teacher training when I started teaching 5RHYTMS. And then it took me again at least 3 years, as I was already teaching 5RHYTMS, until I had the feeling that now I'm ready, now I know what to do. So I was preparing for 3 years and then practicing teaching for 3 years. And then after that 6 years, I think I could say that right now I know what I'm doing. So most of the time people come in with this kind of expectation that anything happens, it's going to be okay. And also most of the time people don't actually know much about 5RHYTMS. Nobody is expert coming in here, nobody is, nobody was reading long articles about the practice or anything like that. Usually it happens later.
Yes, and it's a movement meditation. Yes, so what is it's not really a dance. I mean, I also know that it becomes a dance, but after a time, but what is the meditation part of it? Movement we know, but the meditation is like what part of it?
I like to use the word meditation for this activity we do, and the meditation part of the activity is that kind of intention that we constantly try to be real in that actual moment. Meditation usually is a practice, I think it can be done anytime and anywhere, which is a practice of focusing on what is actually there for me, what is accessible, what I can react to at any given moment, which is clearly different from planning something which is going to happen in the future, or different from memories, or different from I don't know, work. Usually when we work, we deal with things which are not actually present for us. Meditation is something which brings you physically and mentally into that present moment. And it can be done in many different ways.
It's like an arrival, like into the body, or I don't know how to say, into the moment.
Yeah, arrival into the body. I think that's a very good way to put it. A lot of people are talking about this, and usually people say that arriving to the present moment. But the present moment is very abstract. Usually we just think about it and we try to understand it. But as you say, arriving into the body, it's much more clear. We have a physical sensation about that. I'm in my body. It means I can feel my breath.
What a simple thing, like breath.
Yes. And the body is always time-wise, in the present tense. The body is always the body which is actually happening. It's not the memories, it's not the future. So maybe that's a really good way to put it, arriving into the body. Also, this is the aspect of what we do in 5RHYTMS, which I really like, because for me personally, the movement, what we do, is really helpful to achieve this kind of feeling of being here. For me personally, and I know it's different for different people, for me personally, doing nothing, the sitting meditation, is much harder. It can also happen, sitting and meditating. And we are moving and meditating. And for me, it makes it more easy, more accessible.
When when I was professional in sitting and meditating, then 5RHYTMS came into my life and showed me new things. And what was a surprise is that I saw that how much I'm blocked on a way, and it was like 2 years ago when I started 5RHYTMS. And it really took time to be in the body, in whatever music, or in life, in whatever circumstances. So what would you advise to beginners who are new to experience their body consciously?
There is no magic trick. I think my most important advice is you need to be patient. You need to be patient with yourself. You need to be patient with how you experience your own body, your own movements. And maybe find some movements, some activities which feel familiar. And then just do that. Like you mentioned, breathing. It's a very simple thing. Just follow your breath. For some people it might help. And for some other people it will be completely impossible, because after 2 seconds they already forget they were breathing. And maybe for some other people, it's a different activity. I like walking very much. Whenever I'm dancing and whenever I teach, I invite people to walk. But I do that because when I'm dancing and I get stuck and I don't know where I am, I don't know what to do, I don't really feel how I am when I'm disconnected from myself, my magic trick is start walking. And then I start walking around in circles or going into corners or crossing the room. And just by that very simple physical activity, after a few minutes, usually, I find my sense again. I might find my body again. I start being in my body just by walking. For some other people, this might be rolling on the ground. Sometimes we need to go down. Sometimes we need to have a very close and real connection with the ground, with the earth. So it can be very different. And I mentioned patience. Because originally, as human beings, we have a very clear, vivid connection with our own bodies. When we are 2 months old, 1 year old, 2 year old, whatever we do, it happens through our bodies. And that's how we experience the world. That's how we experience ourselves, each other. Touch, movement, breath. As the little child starts walking, that's a very, very alive connection between our mind, our heart, our bodies. And then we start learning how not to do that. We start learning to separate ourselves from our bodies. And let's say this kind of learning starts around the age of 3 or 4. And by the time you come to 5RHYTMS at the age of 30, you were already spending 26 years hard work trying to separate yourself from your body. 26 years of hard work. How do you go back from that? It's going to take time. It's not going to happen in a week or in a month or even in a year. So that's why I'm saying it takes patience, it takes time.
Do you think there is an end of this process of being more to practice more acceptance with myself, to be more compassionate with myself, and finally I can say like, yeah, now I feel very free in my skin. I finished with this human process. I'm fully free, or it's like a work of a lifetime. What is your experience?
It's a work of a lifetime. I don't think it's achievable. I don't even think it is necessary or it is desirable. Because 100% being in the body, being in the present, always being connected to whatever we are, if we can do that all the time, maybe I'm not right. I'm trying to imagine that kind of state, but for me it's more like being a wild animal. There are a lot of small birds coming to my garden, which I love very much, and I love watching them. These little birds, they are always in the present moment. They either eat or look around, or they play with each other. They do a lot of things. They are always right there in whatever they are doing. We human beings, we are much more complicated than that. And I don't think we have to let go of that complicatedness. It is how we are. We have our mind. We have our problems coming from having a mind and being able to see the future or at least hoping to see the future. We have complicated emotions, we have complicated connections with whatever surrounds us. And all these things will always take us out from the experiencing of the present moment. There will be always something which needs our attention, which needs us to, I don't know, open to things. What we can practice through the dance, how we can maybe making it smaller, the gap between our mind problems happening somewhere in a virtual space and between our bodies happening right here, right now. There will always be a distance. Maybe we can bring that a little bit closer. So whatever is happening in my mind, at least it's a little bit connected to my body. I think that's achievable. Complete, continuous harmony between mind and heart and body.
It's just easier to accept this functioning.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's possible. The story goes, or the belief goes, that Buddha is that in that kind of place. He achieved it. And most probably he stayed in that place. Or maybe it was just for a few minutes. I don't even know. I'm not that much into Buddhism, but as much as I know about it, Buddha represents that kind of complete, perfect harmony. And I've never seen that in real life. So maybe it's possible.
I often experience something similar to this Buddha state, something. But I notice only after that, wow, I had no thoughts for 1.5 hours.
Mm.
But then of course the thought come back that I didn't have thoughts for 1.5 hours. So it's really, if I don't try to do it with intention, I really find myself like just really empty and relaxed. Yeah, and also just, it really taught me to accept whatever arises in me in the moment, and it really helped me to connect with myself and just to accept on whatever way this body-mind is functioning. Mm. Did you meet Gabriella Roth?
Yes, I did, luckily.
How is it to be in her presence? How was it to be in her presence? How is her being?
The memories which came back to me most vividly, one is the moment during the teacher training when Gabrielle was teaching us. We were all sitting in a big group and she was sitting in front of us and she was explaining something very passionately and something very deep topic. And then suddenly the microphone broke. The batteries were broke. And I was the responsible person to take care of the mic. So instantly I jumped up and went there. Oh, Gabrielle, please give me, I will change the batteries and everything. I was very nervous because there were 80 people waiting for the microphone and I was responsible and maybe it was my fault, it's not working and things like that. I mean, my usual way of being in the world, always a little bit anxious and afraid. And she was so calm, and she knew my name. It's okay, Peter. just take your time, change your batteries, we'll wait. And then she was just sitting there and waiting. And after a few minutes, I changed the batteries, gave her back the microphone, and she continued like nothing happened. She knew what she was talking about, she knew what she would like to do, and this was just a little thing which just happened. And the other time she was asking my help. I think that was the only time when we really had a personal connection. At the end of the teacher training, we spent 3 days at a ranch. And one morning, I don't really know the words, but a horse was born. It's not called a horse yet, it's called the baby horse.
Pony. Pony.
No, that's the small horse. This is a baby horse which just was born. Anyway, Gabrielle wanted to see this newborn horse, but we had to go up some steps and a little bit out to the stables, and she was already a little bit weak and not so much able to go in this hard terrain. So she asked me, because I was nearby, to help her. So we were walking a few hundred meters. I was holding her arm to keep her stable, and she asked me a couple of questions. I don't know, about my life and family and about Hungary. I think I was the first 5RHYTMS teacher who came from Hungary, one of the very few who came from Eastern Europe. So we were talking a little bit, but it was all very simple. Again, I think that's the most important, that there weren't big topics of life. She was just asking if I'm okay, how I take the teacher training. We were almost finished, but not yet. And she was just interested, how am I on that morning as we were walking to the horses. So those are my some of my experiences. And seeing her teaching wasn't always like that, because as a teacher, sometimes she's unpredictable, and I think that's why a lot of people loved her. She didn't have an agenda when she was teaching. She started teaching something, and then she changed her mind. She saw something, or something came to her mind, and then she was telling us to stop and doing something completely different, and now let's do that. Or maybe she noticed somebody doing something and then brought the whole group's attention into that thing. Look at that person, look what she or he is doing, and wow, let's have a look. How we can learn from each other. She was very, 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 very unpredictable when she was teaching. But as a human being, she was very calm, attentive, curious.
So you consider her as your teacher?
Yes, I consider her like one of the 5 most influential teachers. The other 4, all of them are her students. So it's kind of coming from her, but most of the things I learned or I experienced wasn't coming directly from her, but from other teachers who were taught by Gabriella. Mm-hmm. So it's like the second generation, I would say.
Szerintem klassz. Valami eszedbe jutott, amiről még beszélni jó? Szerintem jó. Szerintem nagyon jó. Thank
Köszi.
you.
Remélem összeáll majd valahogy.
Nem tudom, 10 centit. Jó, így jó. Aha, így jó. Tökéletes.
Jó is. Így. Hát.
Ez az öröm, nyitottság, ez a jókedv, és hogy ez így...
A héten rendeltem is. Na, a fámon. Hétfőtől. Na, meghozták a döntést. Elvileg ezt is lehet valahogy